Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show, coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. It's Wednesday, the 7th of December, and yes, we are nearing Christmas, so I know everyone is excited. And for those of you tuning in as you get ready for work, viewing us on our various platforms, and even those of you listening on the radio, thank you so much for joining us today, and let's catch a vibe. I'm your host, Luke Trim, and I'm also joined by...
Lewis. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Luke. What a wonderful morning is it?
It's a really wonderful morning, Kaylee. What has been happening thus far? So much has happened in the past 2 weeks, I should say.
The past couple days has been quite eventful, hasn't it?
It's very, very eventful. And, I'm really thankful that today we will have the opportunity to touch on some of the issues that we have been noticing thus far. Kaylee, so what were your thoughts when you saw that resignation letter from the current THA administration?
I can't say that I was shocked. It was just, I don't even know how to describe it, but I mean, I saw it on Facebook. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw it. And then I started scrolling through the comments and, it was very hilarious that persons from Trinidad and Tobago could make such a situation so funny. I mean, that's in our nature, and that's something that I really like about us.
Yes, correct. It was shocking. It was unexpected. I was in work and I was just, doing the normal WhatsApp status check, and I'm seeing these things. I said, no. So I went and I realized it was an actual document. I said, wow. It was shocking, but it's also how to explain it. It's admirable that they took this stance, to separate themselves from the person that appeared to be a problem. So I'm eager to see the new developments with this new non-partisan democracy. But Kaylee, and now it's your spotlight, so we're gonna head over to News in 90 Seconds with Kaylee Lewis.
Thank you, Luke, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 7 September 2022. Bishop's High School Tobago topped the annual Chief Secretary's Tobago Secondary Schools Art Competition. Matea Fraser painted the winning piece entitled Tobago, Rich Heritage, Bright Future, earning her a $3,000 cash prize and $10,000 for her school's art program. The second and third prizes went to Alyssa Lizama and Shaquel George, both from Speyside High School. 35 students participated in the competition, 12 of which will be featured in the Chief Secretary's 2023 calendar. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine said he believes strongly in art education and encourages the students to continue excelling in arts. Political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM, Ansel Dennis, refutes claims that the party left 21 years of mess in the THA. Dennis responded to claims by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine that progress over the past year was stymied by the need to address inefficiencies in the public service. According to Dennis, the PNM transformed communities throughout Tobago, had no problems getting the public sector to carry out policies, formed good working relationships with the central government, and led the island through a pandemic. Furthermore, Dennis boasted that the PNM led the THA with strength and stability, whereas Augustine created more chaos in 1 year as a leader than the PNM ever did in 21 years. And nationally, Paria's offshore operations team supervisor, Jonathan Ramdad, admitted that company employees had a duty to stop work on the pipeline that was not authorized. Ramdan made that statement at the Commission of Inquiry into an incident on February 25th, where 4 LMCS divers perished after being sucked into a pipeline. Paria maintains that the LMCS divers caused the accident by removing a plug from the pipeline, which was not specified in the method statement. After being questioned by the commissioners, Ramdan stated that any unauthorized work should have been stopped by Paria's workers, which would have prevented this accident. That was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you very, very much, Kaylee, for that news in 90 seconds. And as per usual, we have a few birthdays today. Now, to start off our birthday list, we have a Miss Cassandra Thompson Forbes. A happy birthday to you, and I hope you enjoyed today. Who do we have next, Kaylee?
We have Carlene George next. Happy birthday to you, Carlene. We really hope that you have a wonderful day today.
And next on our list, we have Alia Joseph. A happy birthday to you, and I hope you enjoy your day today. Who's last on our list, Kaylee?
Mr. Khalil Isaac. Happy birthday, Khalil. Wishing you all God's blessings, and we really hope that you have an enjoyable one.
Now, viewers and listeners, we have to give you the rundown. So, to start us off, we will be bringing on some representatives from Bishop's High School to speak about our Christmas dinner. After that interview, we will be delving into politics. We are expecting to have Franco Cordner on set today, followed by Dr. Shane. He is a geopolitical scientist, and we will be talking all things political. So don't go anywhere. We have everything packed for you. Now, I have to engage a few people on the live. Elizabeth Johnson Cooper. Up next, we have Clavia Simpson. Let me reiterate. We have Clavia Simpson and Dr. Kamaria Keynes Dumas. Students, Clavia is a student, and Dr. Kamaria Keynes Dumas is the PTA representative and event coordinator. They are here to speak about Christmas Come Alive in Bishop's High School. So stay tuned for that. So let's engage some people on the live once again. Elizabeth Johnson Cooper, good morning and a happy Wednesday to you too. Tori Kiki Charles, good morning to you. Brenda Campbell, good morning. Roger Stewart, Pearl Murray Beard, Dawn Dempster, good morning to you all. And Yolanda Cordner, a pleasant morning to you all. So viewers, don't go anywhere. We have a very interesting segment for you, but remember, you have to do the golden ritual here, and that is to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Spread Christmas joy and cheer with a loan from Lambo Credit Union this year. Get 100% financing for shopping, home renovations, furniture and appliances, debt consolidation and much more. Did we mention no payments until the end of January 2023? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today. Or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Wishing you a happy holiday from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show.
Excuse me, Mr. Man. Playground rhymes. That's why I'm bringing back the playground rhymes.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show. This morning, we're chatting with Miss Clavia Simpson as well as Dr. Kamaria Keynes-Dumas Chak. Good morning to you both, and how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. We are excited to be here.
Okay, wonderful. So, tell us a little bit about the Christmas concert that you all are going to put on. Clavia, I know that you have a lot of experience in music. Your mom, also, for the viewers who don't know, this is Clavia's mom. So tell us a little bit about the initiative, what it is about, what can we expect, things like that.
Well, Bishop's High School, a school known for its music program, is very heavily involved in different aspects of music all over the entire music spectrum, from somebody playing a steel pan, to the choir, to the wind ensemble.
But she's speaking from the younger version of Bishop's High School.
That's true.
But this concert is to commemorate our first music teacher that passed through Bishop's High School, that started the rich culture that she has adopted at Bishop's High School. So this is in honor of Miss Gwyneth Armstrong, who passed away earlier this year. But she was the first music teacher within Bishop's High School. She was also the principal of Bishop's High School. And she brought a culture to Bishop's High School because of the passion that she had for music literacy. So we had many persons with talent. And the idea was to ensure that all persons who had this talent are musically literate. They could read music when they put the music in front of them. So that was her passion. And as a music teacher and later on principal, she did a lot for the school in terms of developing the music program to what it is today. The introduction of music on the curriculum for Bishop's High School started with Miss Gwyneth Armstrong. And in recognition of her contributions to the music department at Bishop's High School, we thought it best to do the first post-COVID concert in her honor. And we just delighted that the family and the PTA, I'm here representing the Parent Teachers Association, which partnered with the music department to help revitalize live music within the school. And that's where we started.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Clavia, your mom told us about her musical experience at Bishop's. Can you tell us a little bit about yours?
You know, it's crazy, the entire musical experience, you know. From my grandparents who also went to Bishop's, they wouldn't even imagine that music would be taught as a subject in school. To my mother saying that Miss Armstrong, she introduced music to the curriculum. To me now, making sure that I bring my recorder every day in first form, because that is a strict, as soon as you make sure you have your science textbooks, your rulers, your pencil, your recorder. It's the transition and the evolution of music in Bishop's, it is spectacular. And Bishop's has trained me into this musician that I am forever grateful for. And the music department in school is a strong one. From winning multiple music festival titles to going abroad to play to represent the entire country. We have grown so much as a school, and it's all thanks to Miss Armstrong.
But as the initiator. And Kaylee, did you know that yesterday we found out that a music student of Bishop's High School was in the top 10 for CXC, the CXC Cape Merit List.
Wow, that is amazing.
So,
Aloy Sami, or valedictorian for 2022. Good, this year's valedictorian male. Aloy Sami, we like to say congratulations, Aloy, on a job well done. Yes, and all of that coming through the music department of Bishop's High School. And Aloy will also be one of the performers in our Bishop's High School concert this Saturday at 6:30 p.m.
And it's funny because Bishop's High School produced so many pros. So it's easy to say that our alumni will come back. It's easy to say that our students will perform because our level of music is so high that you will only expect an amazing performance.
Yeah.
Okay, and what has the planning process been like for the event?
All right, well, the school, the students, and the music teachers. Unfortunately, we can get one of the music teachers here with us this morning just to give their whole outlook.
They're working so hard.
Yes. But we're having PAN. Now, PAN has been an instrumental part of our music department. And starting with Miss Armstrong, who loved PAN and supported PAN when she became principal, and Mr. Anthony Moore took over the music department at Bishop's High School. He really pushed the national instrument in Bishop's High School. And the new teachers now, Mr. Evans and Miss Davidson, they have continued the tradition of PAN at Bishop's High School.
And we even extended it to the wind band now.
Right. So the wind band has been there even before. But for the PAN specifically, they will be in full show at the concert. Also, Miss Armstrong has influenced so many musicians, even up to Duvon Stewart is one of her students. Good, and he will always attribute a lot of his love for music towards her. So I just think PAN needs to be in this concert. It's one of her loves, and it's one of Bishop's High School's expansion of one of the instruments that Bishop High School has expanded into using, and to really develop the interests and the creativity of the students within the school.
Okay,
Yes.
and Clever, you talked a little bit about the alumni coming back. What can we expect to see at the concerts? Is it current students only? We have persons like your mom performing as well. I know we have one of your past students, Luke. Luke who is here, Luke James Trim.
Yes.
Luke is an excellent musician.
Well, we know that. Of course, Bishop's in 2 words, Bishop's excellence.
Yes.
Bishop's excellence. Past students, current students, just Bishop's excellence all around the board, all coming back, and even some non-Bishop students
Yes,
coming.
we have 1 or 2 Bishop supporters.
Yes.
Good.
Bishops at heart.
Bishops at heart. Who will also be performing also. But majority of the program is the current talents that are available within the school. So one of the aims of the concert is to get the current students back to the stage, back to performing. They have been locked up with all this talent, putting it on TikTok and putting it on the school page. So coming out of the pandemic, interestingly, the music department, or persons that do music within the department, interestingly took it upon themselves to do various things. So they now have their assembly. They do online assemblies, and the students sing, and they do all sorts of things with the technology now. So music is no longer, you know how to read music and play an instrument and sing. It's all about the technology now. So it's wonderful to see how Bishop's High School students have really embraced both aspects, the academic part of it, technological part of it, and now we're ensuring that the performance part of it, they have the opportunity to perform. They are extremely excellent students. We have music festival winners, and we have one sitting here with us this year. Music festival winner in folk, the folk category, soloist in folk. So Clever is one of those. And we have also the music festival woodwind instrument soloist supposed to be performing at the concert also. Kevia Webster. Who's supposed to be performing there also. So we have excellence. We just need a showcase for the students to showcase it. And the PTA is very passionate about pushing that within the school and revitalizing the music department to the level that it needs to
And
be.
now thinking about it, it's been almost 3 years, because before COVID, the school was supposed to go down to Trinidad to compete in the music festival, in the biannual music festival. And that, obviously, we were devastated because we were supposed to go to Trinidad and mash up the place. But now that the school is providing its own channel for students to perform, even though, yes, the music department constantly sends children up on stage, when we have school assemblies, normal assemblies, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, it is an entire performance, because it gives the students an opportunity to perform in front of 700 plus people, and that's where the entire performing mentality comes from. And now that we are giving them this new I want to say a new stage, but this new avenue, it's just an extension to continue growing these Bishop students and for the alumni. These Bishop students, like if I'm not going to perform, right? Us Bishop students. And giving the alumni an opportunity to give back, you know?
Okay, wonderful. So that's holistic musical development. I like that. Okay, so you spoke a little bit about the pandemic. What has the response been like in terms of you're selling tickets, ticket sales, and that kind of thing from the public? Because we know that we didn't have 2021 and 2020 Christmas. Those Christmases we had to spend at home with our families, and we're now seeing things opening back up. We have Christmas concerts, Christmas dinners, Christmas parties. What has the response been like?
This Christmas is a tough Christmas, or a good Christmas. I don't know how to say it. If it's tough or good, but there are so many events and happening every single weekend for Christmas. So it's a very exciting time because I like Christmas. Every weekend I'm going to something. And this weekend, everyone who is watching this will be coming to Bishop's High School concert at 6 p.m. Lovely. So on the 10th. So, I mean, tickets are going good at a steady pace. Good, and we hope that a lot of persons are giving contributions, because part of the aim of the concert is so that we can have a benefit. It's a benefit concert. So we're hoping to set it up in such a way that annually we have this concert, and all of the funds raised at the concert, we put it towards some benefit. This year we would like to put it towards the music department, to helping develop the music department. The music department is in need of musical instruments, and we would like to contribute, to put on an event that will contribute towards raising funds towards that. The music teachers have a lot of grand expectations, or they would like to do a lot of things with the music department and the students within the school. But to do that, you need to have instruments, your own instruments, and that's something Ms. Armstrong believes in, that when you have your own, you can do so much with it. But the good thing is that the school is very resourceful, and we have been able to access certain things, partner with certain groups to ensure that both the instruments that we currently use can be used for the development of the students.
And also alumni, we have to, as a representative of the student body, we would also like to thank the alumni, because a part of Bishop's growth is alumni giving back to the school. You know, in school, in my mother's time, she'll always say that alumni will come and give back to the school. And now people of her generation are giving back to the school while I'm in school. And I hope one day that I will give back when my children are in school. And that process of giving back, it's amazing. And we would like to thank the alumni who have donated things like guitars and
in
the past and funds, and it is greatly appreciated, greatly appreciated by the student body. And we would just like to say thank you. If you are watching, we thank you so much. If you would like to give more, we still thank you in advance. we just want to say kudos to you, alumni. We really appreciate it.
Okay, yes, and in terms of your future plans for the events, I know you spoke about the event being a benefit concert, but how often do you expect to have the concerts? Will it be every year? Do you want to do it on a bigger scale?
We're pushing the music department to do this every year, you know. Yes, because remember, we have a whole generation of Bishop's High School students that has not experienced performing. Persons came into Bishop's High School online. They don't know what is some of the culture, the cultural excellence that is Bishop's High School music. Some of the parents now coming into Bishop's High School has never experienced what is Bishop's High School excellence. And so we really would like to push or to encourage persons, even if you bought the ticket, come and experience the students. And if you would like to purchase a ticket, they are available at the school, or you can pay at the door and come to the concert also. It'll be at Bishop's High School in the school's auditorium from 6:30 p.m. on Saturday. We are starting on time. And so I'm looking forward to all the performers, interacting with all the patrons. We are also going to have vendors there with a small craft market, yeah, and we have a Christmas vibe, punch and crème, all different things going on. Let's just throw that out there, right? And so we'll have the Christmas vibe going on at the concert also. So Bishop's High School, the 10th, this Saturday at 6:30. I'm expecting to see everyone there. Come out, enjoy the concert. The cost of the ticket is $150 at the, and children, I know we said under 12, but we have for the students, all students, at $100, full stop, right? So persons who are all students within the school, they can purchase the ticket for $100. Good? And tickets are available at the office, the school's office, or from any PTA member.
Okay, and Clivia would have started the thanking process a little earlier, but I know the planning is always a very tedious process. It's always very stressful. Who do you want to say thank you to?
Well, firstly, I would like to thank the PTA for assisting the music department in putting together this amazing production. I am so excited for this production. You have no idea, because it is the first time that, ever since I'm in school, that Bishop's has had this, I want to say, concerts.
A Bishop's High School
concert.
Yeah.
So thank you to the PTA, thank you to the music department for taking it upon themselves to expose the music students. We are greatly appreciative. All teachers, even though you're not in the music department, there are teachers who come in to assist. We thank you all very much.
That's part of the rich musical culture of
Bishop's High School. Yes. We'd like to thank the principal for being a mediator and for assisting. We would like to thank the students who are going to perform, the hard-working students, and the music teachers who have been pushing these students, because it's a lot of work to get over 100 students to come together and work, and they have to listen to every student, make sure that their level of playing is up to par, their level of singing is up to par, to make sure that the harmonies mesh, to make sure that the rhythms are on the right beat. It takes a lot of work, and I would just like to thank all those. Even if I haven't mentioned you, I would just like to thank you so much for what you have done. Is there anybody else? I feel like I'm missing something.
No, but also the contributions of all those who would have donated towards the actual planning of this. We just like to say thank you so much. And for everybody out there, all the students out there, Ms. Armstrong always say, you are as good as any and better than many.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Clivia Simpson and Dr. Kamaria Keys Dumas Jack, for chatting with us this morning about the Bishop's High School concert taking place on Saturday, the 10th of December at 6:30 p.m. They will be starting on time, so make sure you get there on time. Tickets are available at the school's office, or you can contact any PTA representative for a ticket. Viewers, we're going to a short break and we'll be right back. Please remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry, if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you. you. Never worry about a thing. Tattle, where people are people. You know what I mean.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Level up for Christmas. Level up for Christmas. Level up for Christmas with Amplia. Level up for Christmas. Level up for Christmas. Level up for Christmas with Amplia.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back, viewers. Now we will be delving into politics. Now, however, we would have been expecting Franca Corner, but unfortunately, just this morning, we would have got a word from her that her lawyers would have advised her that she would be unable to join us here this morning due to the ongoing court matter she has with Watson Duke. So let us join in prayers and pray that she is successful in her court proceedings. Moving on. So we have Dr. Shay Mohammed, a geopolitical scientist, here to speak with us on the PDP resignation. A special morning to you, Dr. Mohammed, and how are you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm well. I'm still suffering from my Tobago Tabanca, which I hope I will end by next week.
All right, Dr. Mohammed. So, from a historical point of view, political parties are agents of continuity and stability. However, in the past few days, we would have observed the current THA administration take a non-partisan stance by resigning from the PDP party. Now, what were your initial thoughts and your reactions when you saw this resignation letter?
It's about high time. It's about high time that they did that. It's about it had become absolutely necessary. I think the operations of the THA executive were under threat. I would say I would describe it as being as under threat because of the fact that the political leader of the PDP, he could have mounted several, or could have, well, he started his attack on the THA executive by removing everybody who were members of the executive of the PDP executive from their offices and their posts. Now, we have to take into consideration that the PDP is very led by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, is very focused, very a lot of the secretaries that we speak to they behave like horses with blinders on, focused on a target, very much how to put it, very much clinical in their approach and how they in their quest to achieve and to do things that they and to keep their promises that they would have had they would have made on the political hustings. So this is a this is for me for, in my opinion this is liberation from the chokeholds of the PDP led by um, Watson Duke.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed, thank you very much. And it's good that you
And I
are.
want to add, and let me just add that while you said political parties are um, have been, institutions of stability, political parties have also been also have had the uh, can also be a institution of toxicity and negativity and what I would say uh, institutional collapse and constitutional collapse. And I don't have to go. We don't have to go very far to see an example of that. It is why Tobago voted for a Farley led PDP campaign as opposed to Tracy Davidson Celeste and PNM.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed, I'm glad that you would have mentioned that. We have seen that two persons have been calling for another election very soon. I think that's because they feel as though independent candidates cannot stand on their own. But we have seen this being effective in places like the state of Jersey. How effective do you think a non-partisan democracy is? Do you think it will be effective for Tobago, the THA specifically?
My dear, let me tell you, only last night, when the election results in Dominica were released, there would of course the incumbent party won, increasing their seats from 18 to 19 out of the 21 seats in the Dominican Parliament. But guess what? It is two persons who ran independently that make up the opposition now. The incumbent opposition was completely wiped out of the parliament. All of them actually, and I think there are three, three, two, one, two, three political parties that can be considered opposition parties in Dominica. And surprisingly, the Prime Minister of Dominica has said that he's going to reach out to the political leaders of these opposition parties, even though they don't hold parliamentary seats, so that they can come together. And he's going to also hold discussions with his colleagues who are now in the parliament as opposition, independent opposition, to have a discussion as to the way forward for Dominica. So, you know, this is an administration of 14 persons that have declared themselves independent from a toxic political environment and a political environment that had the potential to stymie their growth and development plans for to make, for lack of a better word, for the greatest little island on the planet. So, those people who are calling for elections are what you call they like hyenas. They're always hungry, and I spell hungry not with HUNGRY, but hungry, and they hungry for power. That's why people call for elections, and expect that it's going to be it's so easy. I even saw Mr. Reginald Dumas is saying that there's no need for any worry, and I want to reiterate to Tobagonians, there's no need for worry. The person that you elected for, as chief secretary, and the persons you elected to serve you in your various districts are still serving you, and they are still strong. They are 13 and strong, and they continue to do their jobs under the constitution and under the law, and there's no need for any elections, and there's no need for Tobagonians to be put through that trauma that a potential election is looming. There's an election looming, yes, but that comes in 2025.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. And it's good that you are pointing out the pros of a non-partisan democracy. However, during our research, we would have went a bit international, and research would have provided that in some countries, a non-partisan democracy creates an avenue for something called demagoguery, meaning political activity or practices that seek support by appealing to the desires and prejudices of ordinary people. Do you agree with this finding? And to add to my question, do you think the current non-partisan democracy we have in the THA would create an avenue for demagoguery here in Tobago?
Well, I don't think it will create one. I think one has already been created. I think and that has been even before this situation arose. I think, I shouldn't say I think, I believe that the campaign that the chief secretary had led as a team leader, um, together with his colleagues that have won those critical seats, um, they did go down that route of appealing to the people and appealing to the needs of the people, and touching the people from a perspective of one-on-one, right? And that is something that we have to be mindful about. Yes, that's my cat. My cat being a nosy. She's being she came from Tobago, by the way. um, but the thing about it is, we have to look at it from the context, and the context that you are putting it in, we are discussing, is the fact that um, that exists already. That the current administration is one that does take into consideration the people and their wishes, their concerns, their feelings, their emotions, their beliefs, their needs. They, not once in the last year has, even in when they face this threat by Watson and all of his machinations and all of his grand charges, not ever have they ever waned in their commitment to the people, and that is because their campaign was one that was a campaign which touched and felt and resonated with the constituents that they were going to seek votes from. So having an administration that campaign on that level, and a campaign that was founded on that level, and then having an administration that is continues on that level, can only mean great things for Tobago. I cannot see this going in any way that is, um, that's illegal, or I think I will stick to saying that in our current situation and in our current political uh, frameworks, when you look at it from wide lens, Tobago still leads Trinidad in political philosophy and ideology. Tobago, I have always said that Tobago is a place to look at, because they will develop frameworks and structures, and they are going to change the way things, the norms, and it will force everyone, especially in Trinidad, to start thinking along the same lines. So I'm the least bit concerned. I think they're on the right track, and what they aspire for is actual greatness for the island of Tobago, and nothing is wrong with that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. From a legal standpoint, I really liked your response to the question. It was really, really informative. From a legal standpoint, the current THA operating independent is not illegal, it's okay. But the question now is, do you see that there is a need for the formation of a political party now or in the near future? Um, can you educate us if it will be possible for them to go into the next election still independent, or they have to form a political party?
Well, I wouldn't say, I want to say that it's take my advice would be to the chief sec and his secretaries is, take your time. Don't let anybody force you to go down the route of forming a political party for forming a political party's sake. When you form that political institution, and note my word, institution, when you form it, when you create it, when you gather your information and you look at what are your values, and let me tell you, their values and their ideologies and their, their, their philosophy may not be very different from when they were from what they got or what they formed um, from the PDP. The PDP is a runaway horse. The PDP has bolted the stables and is running at a mile, 100 miles an hour, and there's no finish line. Right? That's where the PDP is. It's gone. It's almost as gone as the PDP and the UNC together is completely gone. Maybe you could put the PEP in that category as it pertains to political parties, right? What the what is important now more than ever, most importantly now, and in 2020 for the year of 2022, 23, well 22 is over. So what is important for 23 and what is important for 24 is deliverables. What they've been given 1 year, and they've had 1 year of learning the ropes, 1 year of doing investigations, 1 year of looking into accounts and finances, and 1 year of looking at the status quo. They have also gotten 1 year. I would like to believe that, and I really believe this, and I am that they've gotten 1 year of mentorship from the former leaders and the state, the elders, the political elders in the Tobago space. They've gotten that over for the last year, and therefore that has given them foundations to which they can stand on in order to now start the process of delivering on their promises, using the resources that have been given to them, albeit um, low resources from the central government. What I will say is that what needs to be developed is how to make Tobago financially independent. That's important. How to put the infrastructures. I was speaking to Trevor James, and he has a fantastic master plan for the city of Scarborough. How to make that actionable in phases, but in phases that are not going to see it go beyond 2025, maybe. How do they start looking at the development of a second or third main city or main town? So, for example, let's just say Roxborough, and let's just also say Charlottesville, taken into consideration. And I'll zone in on Charlottesville because Charlottesville is the recipient of cruise ships now. And as a result of that, yes, there needs to be several infrastructure in place from an institutional governmental perspective to cater to that. So the work is important, and that's where they're going to be judged. They're not going to be judged by the fact that they don't have a political party. They're going to be judged by the fact that what have they done and how have they governed and how have they made life better for the people of Tobago. Forming a political party does not happen overnight. It is a process for that. You sit down and you look at so many things, frameworks, theories, philosophies. You look at symbols, you look at ideology, you look at to be able to be relatability. All of those things. How you connect with the people, what name to give yourself, what is the most appropriate name that will resonate with the people, and ensure that it gives them and by your own actions and your own actions as members of quote unquote government, that political party will now be not that will not be the platform or the launching board, but your reputation will cause the party to automatically flourish.
Great, Dr. Mohammed. So from your responses, we are to understand that with this new non-partisan democracy, Tobago can expect great things for our development. And I want us to know that while the current administration were under the PDP party, they would have been, I don't know how to put it, they were on their toes by what Sunduki would have been constantly, critiquing what they have been doing, what they are not doing, and it is expected that he will continue to critique them even though they are not in his party. And from past, we can tell that Watson Duke is someone that we shouldn't really underestimate when it comes to politics. And he would have mentioned that the PDP and the UNC are now considered dead. But taking Watson's character into play here and his unpredictable character, I should say, do you think that he has a chance to make a comeback in politics in Tobago and even Trinidad?
Well, let's start from the Trinidad perspective first. I went to that launch of the PDP in Trinidad, the PDP Trinidad launch, and what I saw was nothing but a bunch of characters, not persons. I saw a bunch of characters that used their mouths, just like Watson does, to create this facade, to create this image of grandeur, and to speak in a manner that was not linked in any way to the philosophy of the PDP in Tobago. And that's where I saw the first crack in the connection, that when you move a political institution, or want to expand for that matter a political institution, similarities of the institution must carry through in the expansion. And the people that are joining your expansion should have an understanding of that, and should have not only an understanding, an appreciation for the ideologies, the philosophies, the core values of the party. I didn't get that. Absolutely, in any way, I didn't get it. It did not. I asked myself, these people are not for real though. What I saw was people dress up. They come to eat food, drink, have a good time, waste money, money that could have been used to build a better party institution in Tobago. It did not in any way resonate that this is going to be the answer to the PNM UNT. No, it didn't. It did not. It was a one-man show of Watson Duke, ably assisted by what I would say is machinations or caricatures, political caricatures, who joined him in his in his one-day balance and party at the Tobago at the Trinidad Hyatt. How now does that come into the Tobago's context? He's not a man of his word. 1. 2. He's betrayed the people of Tobago. 3. He has betrayed the very institution and framework that was created to get the PDP to go into government, which is, he realized after the 6-6 and even before the 6-6, at the 2020 general elections, his own behavior, his own attitude, his own mouth, what he said, how he said it, who he said it to. Those were the reasons why the PDP was at a point where it couldn't get past the threshold. And it is the PDP got where it got to in terms of winning the administration because of Farley Augustine, because Farley Augustine was leading the campaign. So for anybody to say to me that this is they need to resign and call an election, it comes back to all of that, and that includes Watson, is nonsense. The reason why they're in the PDP was able to go into government is because of the leadership of Farley Augustine, who was made team leader. So what you are seeing now is simply the team leader and his team breaking away from an environment of toxicity, of bad juju, right, of negativity, and moving the administration into a space where they can clear their minds, clear their heads, dust their shoulders off, throw that burden behind them, and move forward in a more pragmatic and a more progressive manner. So, you know, it's unfortunate, because you know what? I want to know, what has Watson Duke done for his electoral district in the last year, and and how many times has he been in the chamber during sittings of the assembly? And that is what people should be asking. And now that he has plans, he wanted these grand plans for Roxborough to become the second city. How is that going to be achieved? How are the how is the ground in Roxborough and environs that he represents going to be serviced when he's busy walking the streets of Port of Spain and gallivanting himself in suits and shirt and tie? That's a nonsense, right? Politics isn't about shirt and tie.
Sorry to interrupt you a bit. So, in essence, Watson Duke making a comeback in Trinidad or Tobago is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being very, very low. How will you rate it? Rate a comeback.
Trinidad minus 0. Trinidad is minus 0 because there's no traction. He can might as well go and sit down in Lappy Rose for all I care, right? Tobago needs to understand. Tobago has to understand what has happened. Tobago also has to understand and appreciate who Farley Augustine is and what he represents, and as opposed to Watson Duke, what he has done. What he has done is he has betrayed the people and the folks that voted for the PDP. He's betrayed them by making it all about him. So I would say his quote-unquote comeback may be a 2, all because in his area he may find sympathy, but he may not win.
All right, Dr. Mohammed, now time is of the essence here, but we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was a very, very informative segment. You opened up a lot of eyes, you answered some questions, may have left us with a few questions, but hopefully next time we can bring you on back so we can continue this conversation. So I want to thank you again, Dr. Mohammed, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day. So viewers, we have reached the end of the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show. Once again, I'm your host, Luke Trim, and I just want to thank you all for joining us this morning. It was a really, really great segment. The energy was absolutely amazing. So we're not going to go yet. We will be heading over to Good Morning Tobago with Candice Jackson. So remember to share the live, share the live, share the live, and thank you so much for joining us.
Love affair, an intense enthusiasm or liking for something. Tobago, the capital of paradise. Put the two together and we understand your love affair for our 116 square miles of untouched beauty. That is Tobago. And according to Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, every love affair needs to be infused with freshness to keep the romance alive. And that's exactly what's being done by Team Tobago at World Travel Market 2022.
Currently in Tobago, construction has started on a new airport terminal, and when that terminal is completed, it will be one of the largest within the Caribbean region and will be able to facilitate all of you and tons more. You heard about all of the new airlift arrangements that we are currently planning, and we are preparing for you. Secondly, we can finally announce that the Manta Lodge Hotel that you have heard about from about 5 years ago is finally ready for delivery.
Honorable Augustine says more suites can only make the Tobago love affair sweeter. But what's being created is a product that's superior to anywhere in the world.
We have development starting The build project has started for the Elephant Tree Resort that's happening up in Tobago East, just downstream of the Argyle waterfall, sandwiched between two rivers and the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Construction has begun there. I can also tell you that a new 5-star hotel, I'm not at liberty to give the name, but they are about to start construction in June 2023 at the Kilgwin Bay area.
And there are also exciting new pillars on which the Tobago offering is being rebuilt upon, which include exponential and event tourism.
We're excited to welcome our Tobago Jazz Experience once again next year in 2023, and we'll be excited to announce our headliners very soon as we are finished with World Travel Market. So that I want you to remember that you have to tell a friend about Tobago.
The Tourism Secretary says Tobago is also unearthing the treasures of the island, which will take visitors on a journey of rediscovery. She says our cocoa industry is also being revitalized. You see, Tobago love. Tobago love.
And we look forward to see you in Tobago sometime, anytime. Just jump on a flight and get there anyhow you can, because I assure you the experience will be second to none.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me, together we stronger.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Bishop's High School topped the annual Chief Secretary's Art Competition, and Mateo Fraser painted the winning piece entitled Tobago, Rich Heritage, Bright Future, earning her a $3,000 cash prize and a $10,000 for the school's art program. The second and third prizes went to Eliza Lizama and Shaquille George, both from Speyside High School. 35 students participated in the competition, 12 of which will be featured in the Chief Secretary's 2023 calendar. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine said he believes strongly in art education and encourages students to continue excelling in art. Meanwhile, political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM, Ansel Dennis, refuted claims that the party left 21 years of mess in the THA. Dennis responded to claims by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine that progress over the past year was stymied by the need to address inefficiencies in the public service. According to Dennis, the PNM transformed communities throughout Tobago, had no problems getting the public sector to carry out policies, formed good working relationships with the central government, and led the island through a pandemic. Furthermore, Dennis boasted that the PNM led the THA with strength and stability, whereas Augustine created more chaos in 1 year as a leader than the PNM ever did in 21 years. And nationally, Paria's offshore operations team supervisor Jonathan Ramdan admitted that company employees had a duty to stop work on the pipeline that was not authorized. Ramdan made that statement at the Commission of Inquiry into the incident on February 25th, where 4 LMCS divers perished after being sucked into a pipeline. Paria maintains that the LMCS divers caused the accident by removing a plug from the pipeline, which was not specified in the method statement. After being questioned by the commissioners, Ramdan admitted that any unauthorized work should have been stopped by Paria's workers, which would have prevented the accident. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And well, viewers, you know, we started this week off with a bang in terms of our politics here in Tobago. And, you know, we just concluded our little series here on GMT where we met with, well, most, I can't say all, we tried to meet with all, but we met with most of the assemblymen and the councillors of the THA to get their perspective. And of course, yesterday we concluded that with Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, who had quite a bit to say on what's happening within our political space, and of course commenting on the recent developments where the assemblymen, well, under Mr. Fali Augustine, divorced themselves essentially from the PDP, and they're all standing as independents. And there's the possibility of them forming a new party going forward, but of course not yet. And they say that, you know, they're just focused right now on serving the people of Tobago to the best of their ability. So on set with us, just to give us a perspective on what's happening and for us to perhaps better understand some of the nuances of this unprecedented move, is none other than former minority leader, Mr. Ashwood Jack. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candice. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning to the rest of the world. And I'm happy to be here this morning. I hope that we can have a conversation that helps to educate the public with all that is happening. And of course, you know, feel free to ask anything you want.
Certainly. So, Mr. Duke and many others are convinced that, you know, this move by Mr. Augustine as well as the rest of the Executive Council is, it warrants an election. So I just would like, from your perspective, from your experience and your knowledge from being within the Assembly, as to, you know, whether or not this does warrant an election, whether there are legal grounds for the elections to occur because of this move.
Well, let me start by saying that it is not the first time that there have been crossing of the floor.
Certainly not.
In the Tobago House of Assembly. And therefore, the issue that I think that most bothers the population is the number of persons that cross the floor at the same time. Right? But the thing here is that if you peruse the Tobago House of Assembly Act, the Tobago House of Assembly Act does not recognize political organizations. It recognizes individuals. And as a result of that, this issue about resignation and new elections does not arise. And let me tell you why we're nitpicking. We're picking out what we want. And of course, it's politics. So people see what is to their best advantage. The election of a chief secretary does not take place on election day. It takes place at the first sitting of the Tobago House of Assembly after a primary election. And if you notice, the election does not take place among the majority members. The election takes place among all the elected members of the House. And that is a recognition that the party does not play that important role. On the contrary, the Prime Minister of the country is appointed in the opinion of the President, the person who commands, the political leader of the organization that commands the majority of seats in the Parliament shall be named as Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister, once the political party wins a majority of seats, that person is assured that they will become the Prime Minister. In the case of Tobago, anybody, any of the elected members, now 15, could be nominated and be made Chief Secretary on that day. So there's no guarantee. And therefore, if that was the case, if the case was once you are not elected in a specific kind of position, then this would not have happened. But the framers of this And, when you look at what have happened, there are a number of things that need to be taken into consideration before we run off our mouths. How many people understand the shape of the house?
It's a horseshoe.
And it is set up for a specific purpose. The horseshoe is set up because the first chairman of the Tobago House of Assembly wanted to set a precedent that we didn't have opposition and government, but we were all equal in the same space. And that is why, even in writing the act, they specifically chose not to call a person an opposition leader, but they call him a minority leader. And it is done, taken into consideration the U.S. system, where in the Senate there's a minority leader, Chuck Schumer or whoever at the Senate at the time, and they attempted to adopt, and the same thing happened in the United States, where on a specified sitting, they elect the leader of the Senate and they elect the leader of the House. That also lends itself to persons being able to vote freely on either side, because if it goes on hard along the line of politics, the only recourse that the political organization have is the organization, the political organization itself, and not the institution of the Senate or the institution of the House of Rep, and in this case, the Tobago House of Assembly. So it was fashioned in such a way that allows for free discussion, for people to use their conscience to vote and to do other things like that. So that is why the party is not the center of what happens.
So the legal threats by Mr. Watson Duke are empty threats?
Well, I can't say they're empty. I'm quite sure Mr. Duke would want to go to court. I mean, anybody who is aggrieved have that recourse. The question is, are we surprised that this happened? And I'm hearing people are behaving as though they just wake up from the bear-like sleep. September, we knew this could not have gone any other way. And any students of politics would have understood since in September, when they saw the acrimony that was taking place, that there was no other alternative but to go their separate ways. Right? And then the question is it that you want to resign or you want to wait until you get fired?
Certainly.
So it's a chicken and egg.
What about that moral obligation that people are talking about? Because I mean, some people, I guess a lot of people agree that there are no legal grounds based on the way that the THA is constituted. But then there is that morality and those ethics, because a lot of people are saying that they voted these people, these 13, under the PDP, and they are no longer under the PDP. So can you address that?
It's interesting. I promised to stay away as much as I could from the internal politics of the PDP, but no. This is Tobago. We have to say what we have to say. You have a situation where you have 14 members, and I understand Mr. Duke grief. I understand his hurt. But you have a situation where you have 14 elected members, and 13 of those 14 have now said, no, we want to be divorced from this.
Yes.
How does that change the policy? It doesn't change the policy. What it changed is the name of an organization. I no longer represent this organization. And so people saying, these people were voted under a PDP banner. Does the banner, is the banner only a name, or the banner is a philosophy? And for me, it's more philosophy than name. And so we need to be very careful that we don't get emotional. What I've seen happening the last couple of weeks, and I look at a lot of the respondents, I look at a lot of the players, and what I'm seeing is a very well-coordinated PR effort that is at hand. This is not minutes apart. Different people are saying the exact thing. And anybody who thinks that is coincidental, playing the proverbial ostrich. This is extremely well coordinated by some very good PR firm. And it is either people allow this PR thing to continue at the detriment of Tobago, because it's not just now. It happened in 2013. Jack was sent out to the Indians. The thing is, In 2013, right now, there were two options. You're either a PNM, and if you're a PNM, then why have election? Or you're not. And the same time in 2010, you know, they say, listen, Jack, sell out to the UNC, okay? The PN, we formed an alliance. And so now you're hearing the same kind of rhetoric, and you recognize it for what it is. A very well coordinated PR, and the question is, who's paying for it?
And what is behind that rhetoric that's coming
Of
out?
course. What? Everybody who said the same thing. We want a new election. So you have to ask, it has been said. And people think that if you make noise enough in this space, then you will be able to convince enough people. People have been calling me, Chief, newspaper in Trinidad, newspaper in Tobago. Of course, I'm here today. I'm asked to do another program later today. It's like, could we really have an election? Why? And then people start saying, I saw some of the comments, and the Constitution should apply to Tobago in terms of the Crossing of the Floor Act. The way, as I just explained,
Yes.
the way both are set up are totally different. And therefore, you can't impose one thing on the next because this situation arises where that you feel aggrieved. As I said, I fully understand what's happening in terms of both places, both sets of people. But people need to understand that we need to stop playing games. For the last couple of months, there have been a lot of back and forth. People have been going after each other's throat. And you can either try to fool Tobagonians by saying, we ain't going anywhere, or you can take a decision that, listen, we need to move on, and that might be even for Tobagonians in a different kind of way.
Now, do you think that Mr. Augustine and the rest of the team, they made a good decision?
That's not for me to say. That's a political decision that have to be, and the consequence or the rewards of that will be dealt with by the persons who made the decision. But I am quite sure it came with much thought that says this is the best decision for us at this time.
What do you see as the consequences that can arise out of this decision?
The consequences that people can say down the road 3 years from now, whenever the election is called legally, that I didn't like the way you moved, so we're not going to vote for you. Or, yes, you have given yourself room to perform, and yes, we agreed with your performance. The thing about this is that this depends on delivery, right? Because people can have the best old talk, and I'm hearing it on both sides.
Yes.
People can have the best old talk. How it affects people's lives, how young people can look at not having to leave Tobago in droves every year, how people can get up in the morning and know that my children have something to eat and that I can buy their books, how you go to the hospital and get good service. Those things are what are going to sway people. And the level of communicating of those achievements or the non-achievements is what's become extremely important. There's another thing that I find very, very interesting, and that is the world is flush with liquidity. Everywhere you go, there's liquidity, billions and billions of dollars people want to invest. Tobago need to be able to tap into that. Tobago need to set up an investment, whether it be a secretariat or whatever, that allows people to come to this one place and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. If we don't have the expertise, hire it.
Right. Now, I just want to take it back just a little bit. Now, there was this claim that, and it's coming from Mr. Watson, that you can't hold Mr. Augustine and the team accountable anymore to the PDP's mandate that they were voted upon because they no longer are part of the PDP. Is this true, or, I mean, what are your views on that matter?
I guess that is a matter of interpretation. They're no longer members of the PDP, and he's quite correct about that. Is it that I'm no longer being a member of an organization, regards to the organization, changes everything that you believe in? Or is it that you change, as I said, a name and that kind of stuff? But that is something I'm quite sure that the organization in the next couple of months will flesh out with, will come back, I hope, go back to the people, explain this kind of stuff, and then work it out. But in terms of the banner of the PDP, they have clearly indicated that they have divorced from it.
Right. And of course, do you think that they will? Do you have any expectations that they will fulfill, or they will try to fulfill those mandates?
Well, if they don't, then there'll be a political price to pay.
Okay. That's a good thing. And now I just want to take the conversation now to just a look at this past year. Would you rate, first of all, the performance of Mr. Augustine and the team?
I think that one of the things about coming into a new dispensation is the learning curve. The learning curve, especially when you have not come from a management position in the public service, you have to learn the public service and all that. I think one of the things that I feel sorry for the chief secretary. I think that the chief secretary is a bit too cautious. I think that maybe it comes with age, maybe it comes with not wanting to make mistakes. I think he's a bit too cautious. Sometimes you have to throw caution to the wind. You have to say, listen, this is what we have to do, and you have to do it. Farley is a nice guy. And he is so nice that a lot of times he don't want to hurt anybody. And so you're cautious. You want to see how you can help everyone. But the thing about it is that people need to understand an election is a civilized form of war. In the medieval days, they overthrow government in order to get into government. And that is why the run-up to the election is called a campaign. It's the exact words used in medieval time.
Yes.
Napoleon did a campaign across Egypt and across, so stuff like that. And one of the things that I find very disturbing about our system is the inability to make sometimes meaningful changes, especially in decision making. Because you are always going to find a day before you became chief secretary, there are going to be people sitting in your administration that oppose you vehemently in the streets. They might even curse you in the street. And the next day, you expect them to change immediately? It would not happen. They're not professional enough to say, look, the election is done, let's start over. Because people always try to see, okay, what can I do? And these are in the minority, a very small minority. But a small minority with influence
Certainly
can do a lot of damage. And so I'm having this conversation, a very similar conversation with a couple of politicians, people who have interests in political thing and governance. And I was asking a question, and I just want to probably just loosely throw to you, Candice. When the American presidency changed, how many people you think changed with the American president? You have any idea?
quite a few.
10,000. The American presidency.
Because, I mean, you also have the ambassadors,
Every
or the
ambassador,
diplomats.
exactly.
Yes.
10,000 positions are up for changing. He can either change them or not.
Yes.
And that is why before almost every election, all the ambassadors say their goodbyes, just in case their party didn't win. Or even if it's not their party, when the president might be a different president, might have done their 2 terms. And therefore the president have the prerogative to do all that. In our system, we have a situation where people expect everything to remain the same. And if it remains the same, what you have is office, but not power.
But we voted for change. The Tobagonians voted for change, but it seems as though they are not, from what you're saying, it seems as though that they're not willing to accept that change or live with that change.
And that is the problem. You know, sometimes you cry wolf. You're asking for something where you don't really want it. And I remember in 2001, when the administration changed, 28th of January 2001, the then chief secretary removed almost, if not every contract officer from the assembly. He said, you're a political appointee, you need to go. Ask the people who was at URP. Everybody in Europe, I said everybody, the entire, I'm not advocating that, but I'm just telling you the reality. I remember there were people whose chairs were pulled out from below them. There's a girl from Mariah, a girl George. She still have a back pain from now. They pull out the chair from her and say, hey, it is our time now. No. I'm saying that was overboard. That is overboard. But there are always changes that you will have to make. Other than that, you will be bouncing your head all the time. And that is one of the things that you hear all the secretaries. I listen to your program all the time. And all the secretaries have the same refrain. The level of cooperation.
Yes.
This. And of course, the level of cooperation could only say, I don't support you. So now I'm going to put as much as stumbling block in your way as I possibly could. I particularly like the Canadian system of public service. I don't know how many people know, but in Canada, the PS, which is almost like our administrators, comes and goes with the minister. Because that PS is the person who is the accounting officer and all that. And if an administrator want to frustrate you, they could frustrate their life out of you. If a PS want to frustrate you, except you know. And one of the things that we also don't have is a system of reward and punishment. People use too much word of mouth to give instructions. You're the right people. You're the right and say, I would like to have so done. And that's why the file system is there. By so day. And if it's not done, then there must be an explanation as to why it's not done. And if the explanation doesn't come up to mark, then you have a recourse. So everybody is held accountable. Of course, you don't want secretaries to going to a division and play that they are this big bad wolf and they could just do
Or they're
anything.
micromanaging.
Right. But everybody must understand their responsibility. And those responsibilities must come with rewards for those persons who perform well. And it must come with punishment for those persons who refuse to perform.
If you would be, well, I mean, I just want your perspective on, how they handled, how the team, the executive council handled that. Because, I mean, yes, there was that vote for change, but that change cannot happen. It's difficult to happen within our culture immediately in the public service. So do you think they handled that well?
I think in some cases there are some secretaries who did very well. No. There are some
and who are these secretaries that you think that you don't want to call any names?
I am not leaving here to go outside with anybody with stone pelting me, right? So there are some secretaries who have done better than others, and it's expected. There are secretaries who, because of their experience, the prior experience, secretaries who, because of where they find the advice from and stuff. And that's a problem sometimes associated with an entirely new team.
Right.
There is no one who comes in with that kind of experience. And I tell people, I always go back to the American system, because even when we were doing Act Number 40, that was taken into consideration. There is no time that the entire US Congress or the US Senate is going to be new. And there's a reason for that. Continuity. There's never a time. And that's why you have midterm elections. So America have a major general election every 2 years. The congressmen are elected for 4 years and the senators for 6. And even if there is an election, there's a death or a vacating of a seat in the United States, the person who takes over that seat serves just the end of that, even if it means that it's 1 year. It's in the end of that, because that is the way you have continuity, and the way to ensure that the system is in place and the system works.
All right. And on that point, viewers, we'll take a quick break, and then we come back. We'll continue our discussions with Mr. Ashojak as we evaluate the past year that's been led by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. We're going to find out a bit more as to, how did they perform? Were they good? Were they bad? What can they improve on? So you want to stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Welcome. It's Christmas time at Le Marge Parfait Day Spa.
Trinidad. Bienvenido al IMAS Café de Spa.
The Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is moving to better serve you. Turn left onto Glen Road. Another left onto Montessori Drive. Welcome to the new location of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if you're nice can't be damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Well, viewers, yes, we are continuing our discussions with former minority leader, Mr. Ashford Jack, as we get his perspective on the past year of the THA led by Mr. Fali Augustine. Of course, they came in under the PDP banner. Well, they are no longer under the PDP banner. They are a group of independents, and we'll see where that leads them up ahead politically. But I want to get from you, before we were speaking about just those issues that we had in getting the public servants to, to change the way they do things and to conform to the new policy direction coming from this new team. Is there, or do you have any advice, or what can the assemblymen, the secretaries, the assistant secretaries do to sort of, get the public servants on board?
The law says where secretaries assign responsibility, they shall exercise general direction and control. Follow the law.
Just follow the law.
Follow the law.
All right. Now, what about accountability? Now, this has been a campaign promise from each member of the team. I mean, they assured the people of Tobago that their time in governance would be different. It would be with a greater level of transparency and accountability. Did we see that?
Well, the thing about it, accountability has a lot to do with end product, right? Sometimes, if you're not careful, I've heard things about myself I didn't know. I used to go home and look for me. I used to go home and look under my bed and say, you have an ex-Ashford Jack here somewhere. I used to hear things, but so a lot of the time you hear things in the public space, and the question is, what is the reality of that? And so I don't jump to conclusions except people can bring evidence and say, This is what have happened. And therefore and I believe that if this administration, like any administration, doesn't live up to good accounting practices, they should be dealt with. I don't care who it is. And I have good friends in this administration, and I want to make that absolutely clear. I have 2 classmates in this administration, and we do very well. I speak to the minorities, and the minorities and I pass each other no way. So it has nothing to do with. But the thing about that is, I'm hearing, even I think it's Mr. Dennis yesterday spoke about coming in and they had extremely good relations with the public service. They blame the public servant for everything in 21 years. Everything. Every time the Auditor General report came out, they said, no, it's not we, it's the public servant. And this same person coming now to tell you, we had a really good relationship and we got a lot done. You know, there's a thing that people need to understand. When people tell you a lot, it means they do nothing, or they do very little. And so a lot is the word used to cover. If I'm boasting about 21 years and $50-something billion in achievement, I will sit down and point out what my a lot means. We have done this, we have done that, we have done this, we have done that. And all we had was $50 billion. I remember when the administration changed in 2001. The then administration then came and met some debts, which is normal in the public service. And they wanted to kill Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles run up debts, he do this, he do that. Now, you're talking about more than $1 billion in debt. You're talking about the $300 million that you can do in loans, more than half of that used. And people expect you to say nothing. When they did not even have $100 million in debt. And they are fortunate in that, remember, the DRC had done its judgment in October 2000. The next election was January. Before that, the budget used to be 300-something million, all told. Now I see one contractor getting that. All told, 300-something million. And then at the same time, they were saying to Mr. Charles, don't do nothing, just sit down and don't do nothing because you don't have any money. And all the same people, in 1 year, spend $1 billion in excess. And all I'm saying is, governments have to look at itself and say, listen, we have things to do, and sometimes you just have to do things because once you can account for it, I could do that. Because if you wait on Trinidad to give you money to develop Tobago, 200 years from now, you just build Scarborough.
So has the THA, under Chief Secretary Thalia Gusson, have they properly accounted or sufficiently accounted for how they spend
That
money
will
over
come
the
up
past
when
year?
the Auditor General audit the books.
So we have to wait.
Other than that, you're speculating.
Okay. And then, as you mentioned, Mr. Ansel Dennis, he also said last night that Mr. Guston created more mess in 1 year than the PNM ever did in 21 years. What are your views on that?
Political gymnastics. I mean, what do you expect him to say? In your position. He's an opposing party. He have to sensationalize stuff. Listen, we have, and let me tell you how people need to be very careful with the statements. Look around the island. Because of the poor infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, the retaining structures, poorly constructed. Some of them are just falling apart. Last year, that some was built up going to Mount St. George. I remember stopping one morning and said, guys, are you crazy? How could you build a wall nearly more than 200, 300 feet without one column, without a center beam, without a cap beam? And you say, well, that is the instruction. That is the instruction we have. The wall is on the ground today. Listen here. So if you want to talk about mess, let's start it. We had Shaw Park Cultural Complex, $1 billion. Started at 300-something million. Ended at $1 billion. Yet it was used more in 2022 than for the 13 or 14 years before. And we can go, look the state of our tourism. And the thing is, I like fairness. I would never sit here and say that the PNM in their 21 years did nothing. That would not be fair. My thing is, did they do enough for the $50-odd billion that they were entrusted with? It's value for money. Did we get value for money in that period?
And I mean, leading off from you, preempted my tourism questions there. Now, do you think that this administration has been handling tourism properly? Because, I mean, and we have to take into account you're coming out of that pandemic, and that poses a greater challenge, even a bigger challenge than we've had in the previous years. Are they changing the way we deal with tourism in Tobago so that it can be bigger and better?
And let's full disclosure, right? Let me start with disclosure, because it's an interesting area in which to get. My family is involved in the issue of tourism, right? The acting executive chairman is my wife.
It's your wife, yes?
Full disclosure. Where were you yesterday? You in Scarborough? There's no attempt. From what I see, I can only talk about what I can see because, of course, I'm not the executive chairman at TTAL. In last week in Roxburgh, there was an attempt to show people, to showcase what Tobago have. Because a lot of times tourists will come and ask you, where can I go next? And if you don't have the information. So one of the things that I think that this administration is doing is looking at, first, how do you sell tourism to Tobagonians so that they can, in turn, sell it to our visitors. And things like those are very important. I saw the chief secretary's performance at WTM. And of course, everybody commended him. I see Condor is back. And the numbers of Condor is extremely good. And one could only hope that that continues. My biggest concern about that, though, is this. In 2012, after some negotiation with the government, we got them to run flights until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And there was a reason for that. People were coming from Miami on a 10 o'clock flight, coming from other places, and did not want to overnight. You know, those in transit sometimes can kill you. People were going to work in the day in Trinidad because, you know, the largest bulk of our tourists are Trinidadians, whether we like it or not. That is the reality of the thing. Without them, our tourism will be dead. And we have now gone back to shutting down Tobago after 9 o'clock in the night. How do you want to encourage tourism when the island is shut down from about 9 o'clock in the night to 6 o'clock in the morning? That is backward. But I'm not surprised because I challenge people to go back to 2012 when that was done and see the PNM Tobago position. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money and all that. Yet, in the next budget, the boast was, we did 1 million people out of Trinidad. And as part of that was as a result of these late flights. So you can't be wanting to encourage people to come to Tobago, but shut off Tobago from the rest of the world. Tobago Airport opened later than the airport in Piaco to international flights. I mean, if we have one country, there should be one size fit all.
Certainly.
And therefore, a lot, I'm quite sure, will be done to try to showcase Tobago, to bring Tobago into a new era. But it also has to be a cooperation with the people who have responsibility for Caribbean Airlines. And let's not fool ourselves. Don't blame Caribbean Airline Board for that. Corporation Soul.
Who do we blame?
Yeah, the cabinet. When the airport was opened up until 2 o'clock in the morning, the cabinet took the decision. So the cabinet, with a stroke of a pen, can change the situation with the air travel between the islands. So putting the Caribbean airline CEO in front and the board, no. I remember a couple of days after the October Carnival, I haven't seen Caribbean Airlines saying how much 1,000 flights were not taken up. And I said, up to days before, we had friends trying to come to Tobago, couldn't get one
That's
seat.
the reality of everybody.
Couldn't get a seat.
You can't get a seat.
But
And
yet-
even now, you still can't get a seat.
Exactly, because there are less flights now than was before, than pre-pandemic. Yet you're seeing these people saying, we had thousands of flights. Thousands of seats, sorry. That was not taken up. And I said, well, where these seats were? Is it that they were in a stadium somewhere? Well, what kind of seats are talking? It couldn't be airline seats. And all those are things that people have to, we need to stop playing games. We need to see development as for all of us. Because when you don't get a flight, if somebody gets sick, regardless of your political affiliation, it affects you. When the amount of people going to the university and schools and things that fly in and out, when they can't get in and out, it affects you regardless of your political affiliation. And so there are some things that transcends politics. If you have a business, regardless of your politics and tourists can't come and stuff like that, and you're affected, nobody asks you, your business is so, you wouldn't be affected? No. So that to me was one of the most backward steps in terms of our tourism. We cannot be advocating improve tourism, and yet you have less access to the destination.
All right. Now, I want to get from you just an idea of some of the things that you think this administration have done over this past year that is helping with our development, that is sparking our development, and is making a difference on the ground.
Let me start by be blatantly honest. I think that there's need to speed up.
Okay.
Let me start by saying that. But then let's look at some of the stuff. The agriculture in particular have done a tremendous job of trying to improve the agriculture. I've been privy to some of the planning. I've seen TATCO and TATCO board need to be commended for the magnificent job that they're doing in terms of TATCO. We had a vessel park up for 4 years for $50,000 in parts. That is back up and running, not only creating employment, but of course creating foreign exchange and feeding the island. That to me is a good thing. Look at what's happening in terms of tourism. Tourism is now putting itself back in place. You're noticing a lot more foreigners in the island and stuff like that. I know some people were not happy with the removal of Virgin, but when you look at Virgin numbers, it wasn't making economic sense. And so that's you see Condor coming like 90-something people every Monday. Of course, the question is, why did we abandon the Scandinavian market when that was our best market?
Certainly.
Stuff like that, you know. So that's another. I know that my classmates have come in for a proper beating on a number of occasions, Trevor. But I think that the opening of additional access is extremely important. And I empathize with him because when I was at Works and we did the Esplanade, the roadway, the carriageway, we came in for a lot of lakes too. What you need all that wide road for? Because vision doesn't belong to the masses. Most people see as far as they know. But I remember when we did Bell Garden, that replaced the bridge in Bell Garden in 2000. The residents wanted to kill us. The road was closed for too long. We had a stone wall blocking people from driving on it because it had to cure. Oh my God, we nearly were killed. If we didn't do that then, what would happen now that long the Bad Rock
The Baroque area fall apart.
has fallen apart? So sometimes you have to bite the bullet because you have to look at your mandate, you have to look at your responsibility, and you have to move in that direction. I know that in the area of housing that they have been doing a lot of the planning, because housing is about planning. But of course, you know that a lot of people last year was afforded the home improvement grants and all that before the rains come. We should look at what's happening in health in terms of the amount of person doing the cataract surgeries and stuff like that. I must commend, I think it's Dr. Duke in Roxborough. And when you go to that place, the professionalism in which you are greeted, it really speaks volume. So, you know, the Secretary for Health and her people are moving in that direction is a good thing. But it's a year. It's a year. And if we expect everything to be done in a year, then something is wrong. But I'm saying that we will expect a whole lot more in the coming year, because we expect people to have grown a bit. We expect them to have the wisdom teeth to have come out. And we expect that with that. But of course, there's also the issue of money. And what I also recommended up front earlier is create special purpose companies and do what is done in Trinidad. You know, you find access from international funding and you put stuff in place. It's not as easy as I'm saying it, because it will call for a whole system. It will call for the knowledge and know-how. Some of those I might have to import. But the end result of that, I'm quite sure, will be down to the benefit of every Tobagonian.
Now, in terms of some of the contracts and the way that they've handled projects that required a large investment but not having the funding up front, Mr. James decided to go with a model of that financing where you do the project, if the contractor finances it and then accepts a payment at a later date. Do you agree with such a model? Do you think
when you
that
have $300 million as your entire development budget, not even quarter of what the Ministry of Works in Trinidad have as their development budget, how else will you finance? Or that nothing will happen. You have to go on good faith and say, hey, will you do this work for me? And when I have money, I'll pay you. And you're lucky enough to get a contractor to do that. And that speaks to the amount of liquidity in the system. And you have to use it, because a contractor have all that money in the bank and you say, if I do this work, at least I'm going to make a profit on my money. I might have to wait for it. But that is exactly what I'm advocating, that when you don't have money, you have to find creative ways of getting the work done. But my thing is, in so doing, you must understand that you are dealing with public money, and therefore it must be treated as such, and the accountability must be above board.
And what about the criticism that some of those contracts, I mean, they're pretty large contracts, but they went to Trinidadian contractors over Tobagonian contractors?
You know, that's an interesting thing, eh? Every time you hear somebody, it's like the equivalent of somebody asking me every time, where then TOP getting money to run a campaign? Where PDP getting money to run a campaign? When you look at what have happened in the past, there is no difference. There have always been trade contractors in this space. I would love to see Tobago contractors be developed to such a place that we have very minimal use for contractors out of the island. That is not the reality at this time. And even so, you also have a situation where there are sort of a questionable spending before with the auditors, the forensic auditors working and stuff like that. The reality is, when that is finished, then I'm hoping that persons who are cleared will be able to benefit from the contracts in Tobago. But I don't know this system. I don't know if the system was transparent. I hope it was. If it wasn't, then the consequences, there must be consequences to action. I think I started this discussion by saying there must be reward and punishment.
Certainly.
And I believe in that. I go back to it. There must be reward and punishment. If you do well, you must be rewarded. If you behave naughty, then you must be punished. And I don't care who it is.
In 2023, what are some of those things that you would like to see? I know you mentioned that you would like to see things done faster, but what deliverables specifically would you like to see?
I know one of the things that I'm afraid for in 2023 is that we will not have that much new projects. And let me tell you why. The rains from September to December have been as such that a lot of the existing infrastructure needs to be done immediately. You have $300 million in development funds. That is going to eat that up, and you still will need a whole lot more funds. As a result of that, private-public sector partnership is the only way Tobago is going to develop. So you have to find private partners who are willing to work with you. Even the same system that you just spoke about, of getting the job done up front and paying after. Other than that, Tobago will be stagnating. $300 million is not a lot of money in terms of infrastructure work. It is not. And sometimes you can't build $1 billion with that. And to do all the infrastructure work that is needed, and this is remedial work, the money, the funds will definitely not be enough. And so, yes, I have a lot more expectation than we can fund in terms of Tobago could fund at this time. I'm hoping that now that the Minister of Finance have announced that he had a surplus of 1 billion, that some of that surplus is going to come to Tobago to help with the remedial work in terms of infrastructure. And I hope that the Chief Secretary and Secretary for Finance will be able to do some creative financing in order to ensure that some of the work that we need to get done in Tobago is done. And I also hope that the Secretariat or some similar kind of body is set up to attract foreign and, of course, local funding for private sector who to work with the government or even to do. Because, for example, the marina. We need a marina in Tobago. Why do the THA have to build a marina? That's really not your responsibility. Tobago have too much dependent on the public sector. So the facilitation of private companies to do things like those, I think if those are being done, then you find that it's going to be down to the benefit of Tobagonians. But if you're doing that, you also have to have shrewd negotiators that says to those people, money will get spent in Tobago.
Right.
You have to employ Tobagonians. You have to start to look at how you can buy materials in Tobago and stuff like that. And then there's another thing that I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping that whatever needs to be done is done to ensure that Study Park is up to its maximum and it can export material, because it is unfair that Study Park have been denied an export license when there are companies in Trinidad that have export license that comes to Tobago, buy the material, the same material we cannot export as Tobagonians, and they can export it.
All right. Now we are coming to the end of the discussion, and I would just like you to just take a minute and just, say what you would like to say to the Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, and his team. Just whatever little bit of advice that you want to leave with them.
I think what I want to do is to say what I want to say in public, because I'm quite sure I can have yes. I can have private conversation with the Chief Secretary, right? But I'm saying to Tobago, one of the things that we need to do as a people is that we need to look at our work habits. If we have to catch up, then we have to revisit the way we work. Everybody wants our early morning work, but yet everybody wants the best roads, the best hospital, the best schools. That's an oxymoron.
Right.
Because if the teachers work 2 hours, your children ain't going to get educated. If the doctors work 2 hours, you wouldn't get medical attention. We have to look at it and say to ourselves, how can we contribute to the development of this island? Even it means that we have to do this for 5 years, 10 years, build a place, and then we can work together. One of the pleasures I've had is that of travel, extensively traveling. And I see things and I come home and sometimes I'm sad. And I'm saying to us, with good communication, we need to communicate with people a lot better for people to understand that they can make a contribution to Tobago's development. It's not just the politicians. It's not just the administrators. It's not just the senior public officers. It is every Tobagonian, every worker that has a responsibility to put your shoulders to the wheel and let us build Tobago to a much better place. We have the ability to do it. All we don't have is the will.
All right, and thank you so much, Mr. Jack, for being on with us and for giving us your perspective on the past year. All right, viewers, that's how we end our program this morning, and it was a pleasure being with you all, and thank you for sticking with us. And tune in again tomorrow. We're gonna start it all over at 7 a.m. with the Tobago Updates morning show and GMT at 8. So have a wonderful, safe, and productive day. Don't litter, and we'll see you then.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.